I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
It's just one of those
Happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle on.
It's just one of those days where you don't wanna wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet is
Knock it off, you scum bucket.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those
Happy days.
days.
The weekend comes, my cycle runs. Ready to extend.
It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better shoot, cause I'm fucking up your program. And if you're stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just,
I'm losing my cool.
it's all about it.
Happy days.
It's just one of those,
Happy days.
it's just one of those
Happy
days.
The weekend comes, my cycle runs. Ready to extend. These days.
Feel like shit. My suggestion is distance. Right now I'm dangerous. Right now I'm dangerous.
Something's happening to the bonds.
My day keeps going this way and this way.
I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I pack a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw.
What?
So come and get it.
Here we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Moody, and welcome to episode 24 of the Mood of the Nation podcast. How is everyone doing this fine Sunday evening? Hopefully, everyone has had a great weekend this past week. So let me have a look here and see. Erberderber is a guest tonight. Yeah, well, of course, that's been already announced on my part with that. So, well, to be fair, that was announced back on Thursday's episode when I had Sam and Laura. Still a really good episode regarding to that. So that's all fine and dandy. Right. So what I'll do is just have a quick check and see the chat. I did see some familiar faces there, and then I'll bring Erberderber on in just a short moment here. So let me have a look here and see. English weather, you're early tonight. Even said early bird today. Well, that's really good. Thank you very much for being here. Budgie Burger, who are the worms? Gammon Sandwich, why Moon of the Nation? Typo or something we're not being told, even though. Oh, is there a typo on the episode? Hold on. I'm pretty sure I spell it as Mood of the Nation. Let me just have a quick check here. Let me see here. Oh, sweet Jesus. I just noticed that just now. Gamma Sandwich, thank you very much for pointing that out to me. I just just realized that just now here. Let me see during the stream if I can maybe sort that out. I cannot believe I've done that. Great. Well, to be fair, I think that's to do with my tiredness after today's event with PA Scotland. So we were doing like a fitness training. I don't want to say like course or anything like that at all, but it's kind of like we're doing like a fitness thing for PA Fitness, like a video type of idea, which was a lot of fun to do. I helped out with some of the filming with the drones footage with that as well. I then also did participate in some of the activities like subs, press-ups, and all of that. Very, very tiring stuff, but it was worth it nonetheless, of course. So hopefully, I don't know when the video is going to be coming out, but I know that it's going to be worked on as we speak, so that's going to be good. I really cannot wait for that to come out. I think it should be coming out maybe sometime this week. I'm, again, not entirely too sure, but if it does come out, as per usual, I'll share it on my other platforms I'm on, like Telegram and Gab and whatnot. With that being said, let me have a look here and see. Killing Angels, how you doing? Thank you for watching the stream. Let's see. UELO, it keeps the devil away. Moody people. Oh, Budgie Burger again. Let's see. There's Kenny. Hello, Kenny. How you doing? Moon, are you going to moon us in that Oh, Jesus. Thong mentioned in the last episode, I can guarantee this is going to be a new meme. If it's not if it's not the barbecue meme whenever I'm late on the stream, then at some point that's going to be brought up now as like the next Chief Moody meme or whatever you want to call it. But no, we've already addressed that, Kenny. But it was a typo for the episode. Again, thanks very much for Gamma Sandwich for pointing that out today. So I cannot believe I made that typo. But anyway, we'll move on. Amanda Lee, how you doing? Thank you for watching the stream. There is Sam. Hello, Sam. How you doing? Thank you very much for being here. And again, thank you very much for appearing with Laura on episode 23 this past Thursday. Again, great episode. Thank you very much for that. English Rose, hello, how you doing? I hope you had a lovely weekend. Same to yourself. English Rose, thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching the show. What Tyler 1381, I should say. Even to you too. Thank you for watching. Brom Owl, good evening, good patriots. Good evening to you too, Brom. Thank you very much for watching. Let me see here. There is James Hayworth. Where is my happy days? Well, there you go. It was playing just now. So thank you very much. English Sailor, thank you very much for watching the show. Good evening, Chief and chat. Thank you very much. Jack London, evening, my wholesome white friends. Evening to you too, Jack. Thank you very much for being here. Let's see. I think I'm all up to date. Rory Herbert, evening to you too. Thank you for watching the stream. Kitchen Skillet, hello all. Just made tea for family. Finished just in time. Well, that's good to hear. Thank you very much for being here, Kitchen. Really appreciate that. Let me see here. I think that's me, Dark Side of the let me see. Chief Mooney, you might get some stargazing types in tonight. I think I'm already seeing that in the chat already. But again, I think the title's been sorted. But Chief Moody. Mooney. Oh dear. Anyway, that's all fine and dandy. Felix Boru, thank you very much for watching the show. Even though Protestant greetings. Same to yourself. Felix, thank you very much for being here. Steve Cray, Chief Lads and Lassies, evening to you too. Thank you for being here. Yeah, let's be up to date with that. Excellent. So what I'll do now is we're almost 10 minutes into the episode. So without fanning about or anything like that at all, I'm going to get my guest on for this evening. This gentleman here, like my previous guest in the past, needs no introduction. He's a very well-liked member within the community that we all are a part of. He's made some very great content on what used to be YouTube, but now you can find them on Odyssey. I think you can find them on BitChute, but if not, you can easily find them on Odyssey. In fact, to be honest, I think you should definitely follow each and every one of us on Odyssey, because you know what YouTube's like. YouTube is being very gay with this whole censorship stuff. So if anything happens with either our channels, just follow us on Odyssey. Especially in this case, follow Erberderber on Odyssey. In fact, I'll even go as far to say my favorite video of his he has made so far, I'm pretty sure a lot of you in the chat might agree with me in terms, I would say, his best work he's done is it would be his video or a song called Silent Screams. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you this fine Sunday evening is Erberderber. How you doing, sir?
Hello, Chief. Wow, what a fantastic introduction. Never had one of those before. I'm rather flattered by that. Yeah, thanks very much.
No worries. I usually I don't know what, like, who was the first person I've done that with. I think it was either No Chance or Scott Sarmar who were on an episode or two. But it's just like kind of like a bit of a build up for my guests, like whether you have heard of them or haven't heard of them. Again, it's just all of that build up to them, that sort of thing. But I'm glad you liked it. But honestly, more importantly, I'm glad that you came onto the show. I know it was very, very last minute, despite the fact I've asked you, like, I think a week or two in advance if you wanted to come on the show. But and of course, the reason that I was planning on asking you earlier on if you were still up to coming on, but of course, as I said, I was with PA Scotland today. We were doing fitness stuff, and also specifically for the video and all of that. So, but hey, all that's been said and done. Thank you very much for being here this fine Sunday evening, sir. So.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, I know that on Sundays you're busy now, aren't you? You go out with the lads with your exercise and things like that. Is that right?
Yes, yes, that's definitely correct. There will be times on Sunday I will make it back home whenever I'm with the lads and whatnot. I know that last week I couldn't come on due to the fact that I was out with the guys again doing litter picking. I was expecting to come back early, maybe run about say 4:30, 5 o'clock, but because of I think we started doing litter picking run about 3 in the afternoon that day. We just worked our way through the park. It got to about maybe 5:30, and we were still out and about. Where I was just like, you know what, I'll not do a stream tonight. I would much prefer like just being out there activizing, doing litter picking and all of that, and also hanging out with members of PA Scotland. So I think to me that I would definitely appreciate that a lot more than doing like a stream kind of thing, because I keep doing the streams over and over again. Like two episodes for per like 1 week can be quite a lot in my opinion, but that's just it really with that. So
Sure.
um
So yeah, so how are they all going, these meetups with the lads on Sundays? Are they going all right? I imagine that you're getting to know various people that are turning up, maybe the same people turning up every time, or bringing a
mhm.
few new faces here and there. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there will be a lot of familiar faces, but we do get from time to time new faces coming along as well. As a matter of fact, even just today, I met up with some guys. Of course, familiar faces and all of that, but there were some members I was just like, okay, I've not met them before, not met this guy before. When it comes to PA Scotland, I've met a guy who's known online as Bob Baggis, and I'll just leave it at that regarding to that, which is, of course, a pretty good name, in my opinion, when it comes to that for like a pseudonym. So, but no, everyone got on fine. Everyone gets along very well. For me, it's a bit of well, I wish I would definitely would speak to them a lot more. I know that there's a lot of guys with us with these meetups. In fact, even just today, with this fitness meetup we all did, I think there was about maybe like 15 or 16 of us all together, which for me it was a very good turnout. I was actually more surprised than ever to see a lot of people being there, because I thought maybe there might be maybe like 9, 10, maybe 12 people there, but again, like 15, that's a lot of people that turn up on that day, which is really good. Some of the, more people could have went, but they couldn't because they were busy with work or something came up at the last minute or something like that. But again, it was still a really good turnout nonetheless. So um, I was wondering, maybe I could ask as well, Erberderber, like, are you part of any regional group, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, in spirit, I suppose. You may. I mean, a lot of my subs know that I live abroad. I
Mhm.
live in I live in Italy. I'm in spirit. I'm part of the Southeast group, and so I do chat to them on Telegram. I'm in their the PA Southeastern group on Telegram. But unfortunately, I'm stuck here at the moment. A lot of people know my story. It's gone on for years. I've been here for years, and with everything going on at the moment, all the crackdowns and the lockdowns and everything like that, um, I'm feeling pretty stuck, to be honest. And I really do feel like I'm missing out with the in real life stuff. I would love to get involved, but the situation that I'm in at the moment doesn't really allow that. And so I just feel that the best thing I can do is just keep making content, try and change a few minds. It's a bit more difficult these days on Odyssey. As you know, I'm only on Odyssey these days. I've got about a quarter of my viewers these days on Odyssey, and I do feel that these are the people that are already there. I think my mission on YouTube about a year ago really was to try and get some. I know it's a cliche when people say, "Oh, red pilling the normies, etc." and things like that, and I I'm a bit annoyed that it has become a bit of a cliche, because I still think it can be done, and I still think it has power. People are already taking the piss out of that expression, saying it's a bit of a lame term
Mhm.
these days. But I still think it's something that can be done. I mean, look at myself, look at Jody, look at other people. There's Gallows Tongue as well. Plenty of people who are in this scene, who who were nowhere near it a few years ago. Yourself, I think, as well, Chief. Is that right? I mean, I had actually been following your channel for quite a while, and I remember watching one of your videos where you basically declared that you are no longer a SIFNAT.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was at a point where it was just after I made the Ricky Doolan video as a response to that
Right.
whole debate
Yeah.
between Laura and Ricky. And I think I had a lot of thinking at that point after that, because as my subscribers would know, or even Erberderber yourself, who I said just now you watched the videos. But for those that don't know, I was a civic nationalist before I came into patriotic alternative, or even just ethno nationalism in general. Despite the fact there were times throughout my time as a CivNat, I would watch content like Mark Collette's videos. I would watch Mike Enoch's videos. I would watch. I think some of Iconoclast's videos from time to time. I'm trying to think who else, in terms of people on that side of the right wing, who would also see. I think you could also say people like JF Gierpe. I would be quite a fan of, and seeing all the debates between Sargon and Richard Spencer and all of that, even one with Andrew Anglin and all of that, to the point where at that point I was like, I did agree with it. I did think all the points being made by the ethno-nats, even people I also watch from time to time, like Millennial Woes, for instance, who make points that to me did make a lot of sense. But because of the whole, like at the time, the whole stigma of the whole, pro-white this and pro-white that, at that point I was just like, really, well, I agree with the points being made, but obviously me being a SIFNAT, I thought, nah, I'm not willing to, go to that length there. But then, of course, ever since I made that video about Ricky Doolan, I had a lot of thinking, and I'm just like, well, there have been times, even when I was a SIFNAT, I made videos talking about the anti-white stuff going on just at that point. In fact, I think there was one stream I did where I talked about a certain event. I can't remember the lass's name, but she was down in England. She was a victim of some of the grooming gang stuff that was going on with with some like Muslim types of people. The more I talk about this, because I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but for the way I'm talking about her, I think people might know who I'm on about. But basically, she came out and said, these men did this to me. They were being inappropriate. These people have abused me and all of this. And then the police arrested her because they believe she was trying to incite like racial tensions or something along those lines. I wish I remember the last name.
Oh, was it the one in Barrow? The one that got beaten up, the one that actually published her picture with her with a black eye and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh God. I should know her name as well. I've actually put a couple of pictures of her in my video. So obviously I had to. Yeah. Someone might know her name. Oh God. Yeah. I know the one. Yeah. She just came forward, and she was virtually accused of perverting the course of justice, basically. Okay, which is just absolutely absurd. She said, "Well, look what happened to me," and then in the end, it's she that gets accused. I wonder if there is. Yeah, maybe you could have a quick check, or I'm having a feeling it begins with her first name begins with an E.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. Yeah. Hold on, let me have a quick look at my videos, because that was, I think I would even say that video was a bit of a turning point for my content. In fact, even like years back when I first started, because I started doing YouTube around about 2018. And there was a video, I think it was either my fourth or fifth video I've ever done, was about stuff in South Africa that was going on, but it was more like a response to a Al Jazeera video that was made on Facebook, and it was just a case of like just responding to that. So I guess you could say I was like dipping my toe into the ethno-nat scene, but again, it was like, well, I agree with that stuff, but I'll just keep on being like a SIFNAT, because to me it was a bit more easier. Then, of course, when I made that video about Ricky Doolan as a response to all of that, I decided, you know what, instead of just like bullshitting my way through it when it comes to this, pretending to well, of course, like being like a Sipnat and all of this, but actually, instead of actually doing that, but maybe be a bit more honest about where I really do stand politically and all of that. I'm just gonna. I thought I would just make that stream, but then turn into a video of me just coming out and saying, "Look, I'm no longer a Sipnat. I don't. I think civic nationalism is a bit of a sham. I think it's no longer the way moving forward in terms of sorting out the issues we're dealing with in our current society." Which is why I decided I'm going to become an ethno-nationalist. I think it makes a lot more sense. I think it's definitely the way forward of trying to fix all the issues we're facing just now. Hell, I would even say like I would definitely support. Well, even though I'm part of PA now, but I would definitely support groups like Patriotic Alternative because I think as a group or party or organization, whatever you want to call it, I genuinely do believe, and I still do believe to this day, that that's a party that definitely wants to see change. Because this whole stuff when it comes to multiculturalism and diversity quotas and all this and that, to me, and I'm sure you may agree with me here, Erberderber, or even people in the chat, it's been going on for far too long, and I think there comes a point where it needs to change. It really needs to, like either someone does something about it, like maybe do something different, or unless we do make any changes when it comes to that, then it's going to be far too late. So, which is why I decided to become an ethno-nationalist and decided to be part of Patriotic Alternative with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our points are still being dismissed by a lot of people, and I think the problem is that I think people try to overcomplicate things, and they try to bring in things like ideologies and things like that into it. They try to associate people with names and ideologies, and oh, you're this and you're that, and I think with the pair of us, all we did was we found out a load of stuff, and we just realized that it wasn't right what was happening. And it just and something really isn't right in general. Okay, and you can talk about the anti-white stuff, but it's not only that now, is it? It's so much more. It's so much more than that. It's and it all seems to be connected. And so it's because obviously, you know, you can trawl through Telegram and you can look at all these people saying, I think we should live like this, and I think we should live like that, and I think women should have fewer rights, and I think they blah, 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 and I think we should do this to rapists and that to, oh, I think we should chop their balls up. Oh, no, I think we should kill them. I should, you know, and people arguing about all these ideological things about what should be done and things like that. Well, stop. You know, it's really that doesn't get us anywhere at all. It's just basically all we have to do is saying, look what's going on. Let's try and stop that first. You know,
Yep.
let's stop this complete kind of hurtling towards doom and catastrophe, because that's what I just feel like that's where we're going. I mean, I made I don't know if anyone's seen the sort of latest documentary. I don't do many documentaries these days because I don't really feel that I've got that much of an audience for them. So I just do the songs and that. But I did do one recently, and it was about my trip to the Alps. It was my and the Dolomites, my walking holiday at the beginning of August. I went to the very top northeast corner of Italy, where where the first language is actually German. Okay, you go there, you wouldn't actually know you're in Italy. You know, it's like double signposted. Everything's in two languages. But you know, there are some places, you know, that you know, some restaurants and hotels that, you know, the people there, yeah, they barely speak Italian, because they're, you know, they're so, their identity is that strong. Okay, that they're almost like refusing to. It's got a long history behind it and everything like that. I touch upon it in the video, and like basically I was there, and while I was there, the whole thing just felt so fragile. I just felt that all this beautiful place, this place that functions. I mean, a lot of the smaller towns, you know, they have a very traditional way of life. You know, a lot of the industry there, it's you know, it's things like logging and agriculture and stuff like that, and they just get on with their lives in their own sort of sweet way. And they get a lot of tourists coming up because it's an absolutely beautiful place, and it functions. It's one of it's actually, I think it's the richest, it's the wealthiest part of Italy. It's and it's the most peaceful. It's the lowest crime and everything like that. And while I was there, I just had this awful feeling that maybe, just maybe, that this type of environment isn't going to be here for very long if things carry on the way they are. And I don't, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, because everything just seems to be caving in. It seems to be closing in on us. And so, instead of having these petty squabbles about your ideologies, you should
Mhm.
be saying, let's try and stop this.
Right.
Let's try and speak out about all this just nonsense, all this absolute um, chaos that's going on, and let's just try and stop that for a start. Can we not do that?
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree. Also, just like a side note, I've managed to find the name of the lassie we were talking about just now. It's Ellie Williams.
That's it. I was thinking it was Ellie or Eleanor, or yeah, Ellie Williams. That's it.
Yeah, that was the name. So no, but that's definitely good with that. But I definitely think I would say, in terms of your documentaries, I definitely think it would be good to for yourself to make more of them, because not only would I definitely share them, obviously I would share your content just so that it gets out there and more people to watch them and all of that. But I definitely think it's a good thing to make more documentaries about any type of topic that I guess you could say we're a part of, just so again the whole word is out there, kind of thing. In fact, one of the questions I actually wanted to ask you, because we did have a short message chat back and forth just before we went live.
Yeah.
Normally, what I usually do is, whenever I have a guest on, as I mentioned before, I'm very curious about how they got started, being a nationalist or anything like that at all. And I know that maybe is a point where you may have already expressed this before in other streams like Jodie's and all of that. But again, maybe just for the context of like this episode, and of course for myself and maybe some member of the audience, would you mind maybe sharing what got you into nationalism, and also the concept of skip nationalism, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, not at all. Obviously, as you said, there might be some people in here that have already heard my story, and there might not be. Also, there might be some people that might want to pass on my story and say, well, look what happened to this guy. It could happen to you too, kind of
Hmm.
thing. But the main thing about it is, before I even go into it, is that nobody pushed it on me, and maybe this might be where we're going wrong, because maybe we're trying to push it on our friends and relatives. They don't seem to like to be bombarded with things, you know. Maybe if you want to maybe get somebody over, oh, look at this video, look at this, look at this, look at this. I don't think it's going to work like that, because no one did that to me. I didn't get persuaded by anyone. Nobody tried to pull me over here at all. I mean, I thought, I mean, in one of my videos, it's one of the first ones I ever made. Well, I think it might actually be the first documentary I made about a year and a half ago on my when I was on YouTube, called "An Anywhere in Search of a Somewhere," and that basically tells the story basically about how I ended up here. I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I was I went to uni. I just sort of woke up this morning and I realized, oh God, it's 20 years since I graduated. I just had this thought into my head. God, that's a long time ago. Okay. So yeah, I graduated 20 years ago, and I'm not going to say that the indoctrination at university was as bad then as it is now. But even then, there were elements of it creeping in. Now, I studied kind of artistic subjects like English literature and drama, and they were probably like the first ones to be to be taken hold by it all, because I had mates at uni who were studying business studies and sort of scientific studies and things like that. who wouldn't, they wouldn't have had any of that then, even 20 years ago. Now it's creeping in, even in in all subjects. It's just all over the place now. Maths is racist now, apparently. Okay, but but it's like when so when I was at uni, I have to say that the stuff it wasn't really the stuff we were studying, but the way we had to comment on certain things was left leaning, and the lecturers there and the seminar tutors and people like that, they're all left leaning. They're all Labour, sort of Labour voters on the and maybe even further than that, sort of people who would read newspapers like what's that newspaper called? Is it the Morning Star? Is that it? The sort of commie newspaper, things like that. Is that the one? Is it?
I think it's the Morning Star.
I think
Yeah.
it's called the Morning Star. Yeah. And I actually have to say that I as a sort of 19, 20-year-old, I found it relatively appealing. I thought it was quite appealing because they made it sound appealing. Okay. Because they made that kind of way of thinking appear to be the right way to think. Okay. And back then, as I mentioned in the Anywheres and Somewheres video, I had a real disdain for anyone who sort of identified themselves as a nationalist. I mean, in those days, we had, there was back in sort of 2000, 2001, we had the BNP were doing pretty well. And you heard about these marches here and there and things like that, and I just thought they were, I thought they were ridiculous, because I was a smug 20-year-old student who thought he knew everything but knew nothing really. You know what I mean? And it takes excuse me, sorry. It takes it takes a bit of growing up, I think, to wrangle with yourself and start thinking about certain things. One of my mates at uni, even actually, he told me that my problem was that I overanalyze. He said, "Oh, the problem with you is that you analyze everything and you question everything." Okay, he said that was a problem, and so maybe that is one of the reasons why I have ended up coming here, because I have ended up questioning everything, and it's brought me to realize, what's really going on, and why it needs to be stopped. And so then after uni, I went away. I got a job abroad. That's another thing. I've spoken in depth to people like Jody and other people about this odd job that I used to do abroad. I was involved in show business. I used to perform in shows abroad, and that just took me away from everything, really. It took me away from absolutely everything political. I was just in this sort of la la land, basically, with just living with performers, touring with circuses, living in caravans, things like that. And I think that really, in the end, it actually did me quite a lot of good, because it got me away from the uni way of thinking. Okay. And all the people there were pretty much apolitical, really. We didn't really have much else to think about. It was just, get the show done, get the job done, work hard, and then we drunk a lot, we partied a lot, and then obviously that goes on for a few years, and it starts to, the novelty sort of wears off, and then I start to think that I need to get a proper job, and I end up getting a job as an English teacher in Italy, which is kind of what I'm doing now. And then I never didn't really spend that much time online either while I was working in the shows and that. There just wasn't really that. There was always something going on. There was always things to do. I think I used to go online like once a week, like check my Facebook and my emails like once a week or something.
Mhm.
And then then I moved into a flat in Italy, and then obviously got Wi-Fi, got a laptop and everything, and started to spend more time online. And I just started watching some interesting conversations on the internet. But these were all different sorts of conversations. So we're talking about. I mean, one of the first people I sort of really started getting into watching in depth was Sam Harris. You know Sam Harris?
Oh, I
Or not?
remember Sam Harris. Yeah.
You know what I mean? This sort of atheist with with early life, if you know what I mean, and who sort of called himself an atheist. And I think he did really, really well to, well, not for us, but for whatever he wanted to do to pull people away from sort of Christianity and Christian values. And I was reeled in, but I thought he was interesting because I think you, first of all, if you're a little bit naive, you look at someone like him when you're looking for truth and rationality and everything like that. And so it was a sort of strangest starting point. And then obviously obviously with Sam Harris, you get Jordan Peterson, don't you? And
Yeah.
there was this point where Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson were at sort of loggerheads, and they had a couple of really sort of heated debates, these long podcasts that went on for ages, and they just went round and round and round, and they couldn't agree on anything. I think one of them was called "What is True." That's it. If you can probably find it somewhere. Okay, they argue for about 3 hours, going trying to figure out what is true and what isn't true, and Harris was trying to look at truth on a sort of very sort of rational, matter of fact level, whereas Peterson was looking at it more in a sort of psychological, spiritual sense. But they just never really got anywhere. And obviously, when you get Jordan Peterson, you get other people into the fray as well. There's Douglas Murray, and then what happens with Douglas Murray? He goes on about the what's going on in Europe. He wrote that book, Strange Death of Europe, which I'm looking at right now. It's on my bookcase. But obviously, we know about Douglas Murray, that he's quite happy. He's one of these people who's quite happy to point out the problem, but won't actually go further than that. He won't say why it's going on, and he won't say what we can do about it. He'll just talk. He'll just go on about it. He'll just tell us how bad it is, but he won't actually say what can be done and who we should be targeting. So, but useful because it slowly brings you there. It slowly takes you there. And in the first song that I put up on YouTube, Rabbit Hole, there's this sort of montage of different content creators that sort of show the pipeline. Okay. Going through. Okay. So I think it sort of started off with Sargon, and then it went all the way through, and then slowly there's this sort of slight sort of shift, and then you end up with right at the end you end up with people like with Mark Collette and then the Europa Last Battle video. So it's just this curiosity, really. It was just this curiosity. I did think of myself as just somebody who maybe, and I think there are still plenty of people that feel like this. Obviously, Sargon's still got a massive audience, so I still think there are plenty of people who just think they're just too clever for everything. Okay, they're too clever to take a side. They just feel like, oh, okay, yeah, they just feel like they're beyond it. Okay, there's someone sort of watching from above. They're watching all the ants squabbling about bickering while they're just sitting there going, ha ha ha, how clever are we? And I felt a little bit like that for a bit. I felt like, oh, I'm not going to take a side. Okay, I'm just going to laugh at the left and I'm going to laugh at the right. But then I couldn't, because I just started, the more I started to listen to people like, there's Millennial Woes and Horus and Mark Collette, obviously, and then Laura and Iconoclast. The more you listen to them, you're just yeah, you realize what's really going on, and that's what I you know what I like appreciated about the Iconoclast video as well. All it was saying, it again, it wasn't so ideological. It was just, look, this is going on, and it isn't right, and you have to realize that it isn't right, and so then, I mean, they call it the sort of red pill moment. I think the red pill moment was about, I think it was about 3 years ago now, where I braved Europa: The Last Battle.
Mm.
And although, you know, people can say what they want about that documentary, whether they think it's entirely true or this or that, it I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I was in a daze for about a month after watching it, and it was one of those things where you're just going, hang on a minute, no, wait, no, and what you've just heard, you can't really unhear it, and then you start getting desperate. Oh, did that really happen? Or are these people really doing all of this stuff? And then it kind of turns everything upside down, and it's quite a harrowing experience. I think. I don't know if anyone watching, anyone in the chat has been through anything like that before. I mean, there are plenty of people in the chat who are going to be like, oh no, I always knew, I was always a nationalist. Okay, but me coming from this sort of la-di-da, sort of BBC boomer liberal kind of background, so that, I mean, that was my, you know, my parents' background, sort of live and let live, be nice to people and everything like that. I think I was definitely behind. I had almost like the opposite of a head start. I was you know, I started, you know, to actually get to this point, I started way behind, and so I needed to, you know, I spent like 35 years catching up. So there we are.
Excellent. No, that part where you mentioned about Europa: The Last Battle, and how you had your experience of this sort of everything you know growing up. At that point, you find out it's kind of like a gigantic lie. I kind of had that experience as well, but it was not. It was kind of to do with ethno nationalism, but it was kind of to do with like nationalism as well. Well, even though it's all part of the same thing. But what I mean is that um, I would watch YouTube regularly. My first time watching YouTube was back in 2006. So I've been going on this platform or watching stuff on this platform for a long time now. If I would definitely say it's about like 15 years now at this point, which is crazy to think. I can't remember when exactly, but there was these old documentaries. I know that they're no longer on YouTube because they are part of the whole promoting conspiracy theory type of videos. But
Right.
I remember there was like a lot of those videos on YouTube. There was one in particular. I don't know if maybe you yourself have seen this, or maybe people in the chat have seen this, but I think it was meant to be a 10-part or 12-part documentary series called Lucifer Rising. And that's a documentary series where it talks about stuff like the Illuminati, and there's like a secret cult or secret society that are the ones that are, you know, behind the scenes pulling all the strings and all of that going on. It talks stuff about like you know, stuff to do with like Israel and all of that, and then stuff about like the Christianity and the Bible, and how it's very symbolic of good and evil, heaven and hell, God and Satan, and all of that. And I remember just thinking of that at that time. I was just like, "Holy shit!" You know, it's just like of course, they see all the symbols of like the triangle. You know, it's like meant to be like as a symbol of that. So at that point, whenever I see like a triangle, I was just like, oh, you know, just like we'll just look at that, and just like decide to just turn away and not bother with that. I actually got to the point where I did start to get a little bit paranoid about it, where I was just like, oh, all the stuff about, and of course, it was the same thing. What I've also noticed about Europa: The Last Battle, regarding to that documentary, is all the stuff that everything you've known growing up, whether it's to do with like politics or history or geography or anything to do with that. Yeah, the pyramid symbol should say Nymphophilius. Sorry, thank you for that. Yeah, it's like a triangle pyramid type of shape with regard to the Illuminati. But anyway, sorry, continuing on from there. I remember at that point, all the stuff you've learned about, and all of that. Watching all those documentaries, reading through books, and all this information and all of that, and then you start to realize, like, well, all this was basically like a huge lie. Well, then you start to question almost everything at that point. You're like, well, wait a minute, was this a fact? Was this true? Was this false? Like, were these the good guys in history? Were these the bad guys, or vice versa? You start to question everything. And I can't remember who in the chat said it, but once you've experienced that, once you've seen that, you can never unsee it, because it's pretty much in your mind forever. So I would definitely agree that that's definitely true what you've said just now, Erberderber, that I've experienced that myself. That even some people in my life, like family and friends, especially my mother, who even went through that as well. Even with this whole COVID stuff, reads through all kinds of information like that it's not being told within the mainstream media, and of course she was kind of freaking out about it. And I'm just like, look, listen, just don't just get off the internet for a bit, and then once you're all feeling better and all of that, then you can go back to it. Of course, she's all fine and dandy now, but there was a point where she was just like, just freaking out, like, I can't believe all the stuff I'm learning about now. I never learned back then, and all this and that. But again, once you've seen it, you can never unsee it at this point. But no, I definitely agree with that, Erberderber, definitely. So
There is one thing I will say, is that said, we do have to be careful about what we what we believe and things like that, because there is a whole lot of misinformation out there, even in the things that we're getting into. So I do think you have to be wise with what you take on board, because if you're going into the sort of conspiracy side of things, there is a load of there's definitely a load of claptrap out there, and that's what makes it more difficult, and that's what makes it really difficult for us as well, because an easy way to dismiss us is just to say, oh, they're just conspiracy theorists, but we know we're not. But we know that conspiracy theorists do exist. We know that there are these that there really are real tinfoil hat wearing crackpots out there. That there. But then then there are conspiracy theories about that, about people saying, well, those really, really crazy ones are made deliberately just to kind of to muddy the waters. You know what I mean? To make everything to make absolutely like nobody's argument seem valid, because there are so many conspiracies out there. And so all these people can do is just, listen to that person, listen to what that person's saying. Oh no, that's just the same rubbish as the lizard people and things like that. And that's what makes it really difficult, because it's about looking at something and finding the validity in it, and just saying, no, actually, no, there's really something in that. There's something in that for me is viable. Maybe for other people it isn't. And there was something else I wanted to mention earlier, is that that being away, I think, made me more sort of susceptible to end up coming here, I think, because if you're trapped in your little group of mates, your little group of normie mates in your hometown or whatever, and you're all doing your thing, and you're living your nice cozy life, then I find that it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to get out of that, because everyone's there. They watch their football, they watch their Love Island, they have their little routine. They do whatever they do. They watch the mainstream media, and that's it. And they don't really question anything. They're not in the position to do that. But the fact that I was a bit of a lost sheep for a few years, and so excuse the expression, sheep, but no, a real lost sheep, just completely out on my own. I didn't really have anybody to run it through. So I was just making up my own mind about it. I didn't have any. Um, I mean, obviously I had mates and that and knew people, but I kept a lot of this stuff to myself. And I got, I got really into it, and I just made up my own mind about it. But now we can see what's going on now. I mean, it's so clear now. I mean, for us, it couldn't be clearer what's going on. Every single article in the mainstream media is is against what what we're fighting for, basically. Okay.
Mm.
And they're just there, and they're all together with it. They're all pushing this, and some of the hoops they jump through, some of the backflips they do to keep their narrative going is absolutely laughable these days. And you can just see right through it. We're lucky because we've unfortunately we've had to go through that process to get that. I do think you need to go through that process. You need to have that. You do to end up here. I do think you need to have a sort of harrowing experience, a sort of complete, you know, to have your mind completely turned upside down to actually be able to really understand what's going on. And sadly, we are still in the minority, and there are plenty of people, thousands, if not millions of people whom it just isn't possible, isn't going to be possible to do it to. I just don't think it is. I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying, Chief, about
Yeah.
this point where you don't know whether you're coming or going? I mean, you said you went through that, right?
Yeah. I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I thought like I did went through that in terms of like the whole paranoia type of stuff because of learning about all that stuff, about like secret cults, secret societies, and all of that. Um, it got to the point because I mentioned about the paranoia stuff where I did take a step back. I'm like, right, let's calm down for a minute. Let's actually take a step back for a moment here and actually think this through. Because the point you made earlier on, where we need to be careful with all the stuff we read online, especially when it comes to that stuff, because there is a lot of misinformation. Which that's definitely a very valid point. Because even when it comes to like stuff like the news and all of that, I'm very kind of cautious. Well, which is fact and which isn't like factual and all of that. So I usually just tend to listen to people who I tend to trust, say like yourself or like people like from PA and Mark and all of that. Because of course us when it comes to people on our side of the of this community, we tend to speak a lot of truths, and we're not afraid to speak a lot of truths regarding to that. Which is why I agree with this idea that people should be a lot more careful, especially now online when it comes to information. In fact, I would even go as far as say, like, with all the current stuff with COVID, we're going along just now. Even though there's been a lot of information about with COVID about COVID that's not been too positive or anything like that at all, but it's still an ongoing thing at the moment with that. You see, but again, I definitely agree with the point you're making here with that in this case. So I definitely agree. So
Well, regarding COVID, I think we have seen the last sort of just couple of weeks or so, few weeks, there have been some encouraging signs. I think,
hmm.
there are these little things, that are slowly leaking out. Like the BBC having to admit that radio DJ's death was because of the vaccine. Like small things like that. These small things coming out, and then also we're hearing about people who've been double jabbed. I think Dave Cullen mentioned it. He was saying that people who have been double jabbed are feeling cheated now. They're feeling cheated because they thought that was it. Well, hang on a minute. I've done my part. I've had my 2 jabs now.
Mm-hmm.
What? I have to have another one and another one and another one. And so I think you're going to get people who've been double jabbed who are going to be with us. Unfortunately, it took them that long, and it's and it was maybe it's a little bit too late for them because they've already had their jabs, but they had to go that far to actually realize, oh, hang on a minute. So I've just done all this. I've done what they've told me to do, but that still isn't enough. And now they want me to do this, and now they want me to do that. And I could wake up in the morning and my phone could be red, my app could be red, and that will tell me that I can't go out of the house. And even though I've had my 2 jabs, and now they're saying those 2 jabs are useless because of the new variants.
Mm-hmm.
And so there does seem to be more. Yeah, there does seem to be this sort of dissent, more and more dissent creeping in. And obviously we've had we've seen tons of protests as well. I mean, the ones in France are enormous. They're really encouraging. I mean, there's been a massive one in London as well. So these people aren't bonkers. These people aren't mad. There does seem to be. It's just a trickle at the moment. And obviously nationalists are going to say, oh yeah, but this is no good for us because the COVID thing. There are so many people in the COVID crowd, and each tiny little group in that COVID crowd have got their own little agenda, and they've got their own little ideologies, and even if they do end up gaining momentum, they're still going to be bickering because obviously not everyone in the anti-lockdown crowd is going to be a nationalist and everything like that, and obviously then the nationalists are going to be accused of using it for their gain. That's another thing, isn't it? Okay, it's like when anything happens that is just really unjust and really awful, okay, that we want to complain about and we want to say that it should never have happened and it can't happen again. Anything like that happens, all we get is, oh, you're just saying that to further your evil agenda, sort of thing.
Right.
No, we're not. No, we're not. we don't have an agenda. We're just saying that this has happened and it's really awful. And we need to do something about it. That's all we're doing. And it's and people are going to say that you mentioned the Silent Screams video earlier. Okay. Oh, he's just he's just a fascist. He's just a Nazi. He's just wants to he just wants to further his evil cause. Okay, by using those poor victims' names just to further his evil cause. No, it just but they're always going to do it like that. Have you noticed it? Okay, and it's not. It's just about saying no. We don't want awful things to happen anymore. That's it. And we want to live. I mean, a lot of us are old enough, to kind of, if you're in your, maybe, I don't know how old you are, Chief. I'm in my 40s, but at least if you're in your, definitely if you're in your 40s, you are gonna have an idea of what life could be like, especially in Britain. Living in Britain and living a pretty decent life in Britain. You are going to know that. People who are in the chat, people in their 50s and their 60s, they're going to know even more. What it's like, what it really could be like. Okay, and this is the thing, and this isn't some old fart. With his rose tinted glasses on. No, these are real experiences, and these are just basic comparisons, saying, well, it's not about, oh, in my day everything was great, and all that stuff. No, it's basically, were you oh, it was amazing like 30 years ago. Yeah, you could just walk into a shop without a face covering on and no one would care. You just make that's all you need, just to do just to do something like that. And that's all we're doing, really. Okay, and sadly, these people have been so conditioned. The people complaining about, people saying that people like me are, oh, you're only trying to further your cause, your evil cause. They've just been, sadly, they've just been so conditioned by it all. Okay, and we have to understand this as well. Sometimes we moan about these people. We moan about them. Oh, these bloody sheep. Oh, these normies, and everything like that. But mate, I think we have to we have to try. We have to try to understand. Still try to understand why, why they're like that. And I think someone mentioned it in another stream. I can't remember who it was, but it might have been actually on one of Frodi's streams, saying, I think it might have been Frody himself. He just said like, "Oh, I hadn't watched TV for absolutely ages. And I turned the TV on, and it was just like COVID, 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 COVID. Okay, or whatever. And then all you're going to need to do is watch telly for a day. That's all you need to do. Just watch telly for a day, including the adverts as well, I may add. And and then after you've done that, you have to think to yourself, oh God, these people who are trying to get over have been they watch this thing every single day, and they've been watching that for years, every single day. This is what we're up against."
No, yeah, definitely. It's just what can really be said more about the COVID stuff? I mean, this has been going on for like what, almost. I was about to say 2 years, but not longer than that. I mean, it's been like almost like 18 months, almost 2 years now, and it's just like it gets to the point where you're just like, well, when does it all end? I mean, will it ever end? I mean, I'm at a point where I'm just thinking this is going to be the new norm. Like people, even though we've had some days of like normality, like going back to normal, but even then, it's like you're still required to wear a face mask and all of that. You're still, I mean, they're still trying to push the whole vac vaccination passports or something like that. And it's just like I can't stand it. I just like there has to be a point where people need to take a stand, and it's like, look, listen, we can't stand this anymore. Obviously, all this tactics of trying to prevent the virus is not really working that much. So it's just we just need to do something about it. Which the only good thing I will say about this is that there have been very white pilling moments about that, as you mentioned earlier on, about France being the biggest one of them, which I was really surprised at how much France are being vocal about this. Because, in the past, I've always made fun of France, for like, well, being the French and all of that, which of course I made the joke in the past saying, I don't speak French, I don't speak surrender or something like that. But jokes aside, when it comes to that, I'm actually really surprised. I'm also very happy to see that France is one of the few countries within Europe, or even in the Western region, there actually are calling out this whole this whole lockdown BS that's going on just now. Because I mean, there have been some like anti-lockdown protests in the UK, but I don't think it's really been not as much as what's going on in France. I mean, I think even I've just seen in the group chat earlier on Telegram, I think it was James Goddard that shared that, where there was like a protest going on down in England. Some of the protesters are getting their heads caved in by the police once again with that, which of course has been going on for time and time again. But I think we're at a point now when it comes to this whole COVID stuff that I think people are slowly but surely starting to wake up to it. I think people are getting way sick and tired of it at this point. Sure, there may be some people that are still acting like sheep and will still follow the guidelines, follow the government procedures and all of that because they want to be a good citizen, quote unquote. But I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to it. Are really starting to wake up and smell the coffee, the old expression. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just feel that we're teetering at the moment. We're teetering on the edge of something quite big, and I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to sort of speculate too much, and I'm not going to Fed post or anything. But I just think the way things are going, they just can't go on the way they are. It just isn't sustainable. Sustainable in the way that we say sustainable, not the way that the World Economic Forum say. Anyway, but it just can't carry on like this. I mean, I just feel that I'm living for the day at the moment. I can't make plans. I just feel that I can't do any. I can't really do anything. I just feel that I'm just living for the day, and maybe that's what they want. That's what they don't want us to make plans. They don't want us to make plans to get married, have kids, have a family, but settle down, nice house, garden, dog, etc. That's what most of us want, right? But I feel that we're just not in. We're not. I mean, compared to sort of 30, 40 years ago, we it's so difficult to be in that position now, and and it just can't carry on like this. Everyone's just in such a precarious position now. Life is just so precarious. We don't know whether we're coming or going. We don't know what we're going to do from one day to the next. We can't plan anything. And so when things are like this, and when you can see the unrest going on, now other people have spoken about it online already. We don't know what it is or when it's going to be, but it seems that there could be something very soon that's going to happen. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, but there are some people that think that Western society as a whole is on the verge of collapse. That we've had people talking about prepping and getting ready and everything like that. People, I mean, there's the Woodlander in the chat as well. Living off grid, growing food, etc. And it's crazy. Would we be talking about that? Would we be talking about things like that if everything was fine? I really don't think so. And again, would I be making the songs that I'm making? Would I be making the videos that I'm making? Would you be talking about all of this stuff? Would you be even be a YouTuber if everything was great? You know what I mean? We wouldn't. And so I just feel that we're just at that point now that something has got to give. Something is, whether it's going to be an attack from one side, an attack from the other side, I don't know, or some massive, great big collapse or some great big crisis. But that's what I just kind of feel it. I'm just wondering how things. It's quite. A few. When it was back in July, I think it was. I play in a couple of bands actually. I play the drums, and we did one of the bands. We did this gig in this pub in July, and we finished the gig, and the owner was really happy and everything, and he came up to us at the end and he said, "Oh, I'd like to have you guys on again, right?" And we said, "Oh, great, brilliant. Okay, when can you book us again?" And so he went through his dates and everything, and he goes, "Oh, I'm pretty full actually in the next few weeks." And right, the most recent the next one I've got coming up is the nearest one I've got is March 2022. He goes like March next year, and we were like, all right. so we said yes. But then I was thinking to myself, I can't even imagine what things are going to be like in March. I mean, March 2022. That's like, I mean, in July, it was like, it would have been like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 months away or something like that. And then, a few years ago, maybe you could think, oh, what am I going to be doing in 8 or 9 months' time? What am I going to be doing? And you could, and you'd be able to do that. You'd have some sort of idea of what the world was going to be like in 8 or 9 months' time. And I always think to myself, I have no idea what things are going to be like in March 2022. I really don't. I sincerely don't. Who knows? I just feel that everything's so precarious at the moment that you can't. And I think, am I going to be here? Is that pub even going to be open? Are we going to be allowed? Is playing music going to be allowed? All of that stuff is one of the guys in the band who's had the vaccine still going to be with us? You know what I mean? That's kind of what was going through my head. But there you go. What do you think about March 2022, Chief? Do you have any idea what's can you know what you're going to be doing by then? How the world's going to be by then?
I mean, it's quite hard to tell, really, to be honest with me, because that's quite a few months away. But I guess what I would say for March 2022, I mean, I've not had taking the vaccine or anything like that at all. I completely stuttering. Sorry, I completely refuse to regarding to taking the vaccine. So I've not taken it whatsoever. So I'm pretty sure I'll still be around, whether it's making content on online videos or live streams with Mood of the Nation, or even activising with PA Scotland and all of that. But I'll still be around. In terms of like say what's going to happen between now up until then, I mean it's a pretty hard question to ask because at this point on anything really can happen at this point. I mean, especially with all the current stuff that's going on just now with COVID, and of course the more current recent news going on that as we speak, the stuff that's happening, and I've mentioned this before in other episodes, but stuff with Afghanistan. I mean, that's like it's it's a very hard question to ask, as I said, because as I said, anything can happen at this point, really. So.
Yeah, there is that. There is the whole Afghanistan question as well, and it was quite fun. I can't remember who it was that said about it, but there was one person on a stream that said that we all really, most of us just have to admit we haven't got a clue what's been going on. Afghanistan over the last sort of 30 years or so. Why there? The Soviets were there. Then obviously the Americans have been there. It's in that position. A lot of us normal folk, I think we're normal. Okay, we just say, what that, something like that, a place like that, we should just have absolutely nothing to do with. It's and this is one of the real negative sides to globalization. The fact that politics comes into it as well, and other countries are sort of meddling and checking what's going on in other countries, and obviously, I suppose it sort of connects to that falsehood that we're all the same, which we're just blatantly not. And anyway, I don't know if you've noticed. I haven't been awfully well this weekend. I'm not feeling up to it. I don't know if you've noticed it in my voice. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit better today actually. I don't know what it was. And if I'm actually hoping it was the coof because it's like if that is all we've got to worry about, then all the stuff that's going on in places like New Zealand and Australia is just a complete farce. Okay,
Yeah,
just a bit of a blocked nose, bit of congestion, feeling a little bit weak, wanting to go back to bed in the afternoon, and that's pretty much it. It's been a bit frustrating for me really because I have written a song. And I have a new one, and it's about I'll tell you what it's about. It is actually about Afghanistan. Okay,
oh.
it's the first one I've done actually about that, but it's not so much about Afghanistan, but more about the whole refugee thing. Okay, and I've made the music for it, and actually I thought I'd kind of try and get myself ahead of the game a little bit today and yesterday. I've actually mounted the video together, as I put the video together as well with it. Yeah, because the song's there, so I just used a sort of half ready version of the song just so I could put the video over it, and then when the song's actually ready, then I'll replace it with that. So the actual the clip's done, video's done. Basically, the only thing left to do on it now is to sing on it, and that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to do that either today or yesterday. I was hoping to get the video up today. Also, before our stream before this stream today, so we could talk about it. But unfortunately, my voice wasn't up to it, and it's going to be quite an ambitious one as well. I'm going to try to I'm hoping to sound like a sort of choir of about 30 people. That's what I'm going to try to do with all different voices, and so that's and if it's just awful, then I just won't bother. But that's it. I need my voice to be in slightly better condition to be able to do it. Maybe tomorrow, but I'm desperate to get it out because because obviously with my songs, the subject matter needs to be relevant, and I don't want to be, singing a song about something that nobody's interested in anymore, or that's something that isn't in the news anymore. So basically, that's I mean, if I'd been up to it, it would have been up by now, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll be up to it tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see, and hopefully you'll have a song, you'll have a new song, new video to watch tomorrow evening, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, if it's up tomorrow, I'll definitely share that around and definitely watch it for myself. As a matter of fact, I've been using Odyssey a lot more if it's like a specific video I want to watch from other content creators, which is, very handy to have. So I'll definitely check that out if it does come out tomorrow. I can't wait for that. As a matter of fact, there's someone in the chat, Rory Herbert. I don't know if you've seen this already, but they're texting here. Is Erberderber's new song called "Dancing Afghanis"?
Well, it isn't, but that could be another good idea. Another good one. I think because it's some good visuals with that, with the Dodgem, with the bumper cars and everything like that. The guys, the Afghanis on the Dodgems. But yeah, maybe, who knows?
Excellent. Let me see here. I'm just having a quick look here at the moment with the chat. Again, just been very positive reception at the moment with that, which is really good. I actually cannot believe it's almost 7:30 already. I guess time flies when you're having fun when it comes to making these types of streams. But again, it's really good. That could be another question because Blackwater Park put in the chat, will Biden be in a nursing home by then? I mean, at this point, the way he's been acting, I wouldn't be surprised. But I guess maybe that could be a question I could ask you when it comes to. I know it's to do with like American politics.
I don't think Biden has got anything to do with what's going on. I don't think he's got any say in anything. He's just being put there. He might as well have a wire coming out of him. Just like an off and on switch. Because honestly, I just don't believe he's got absolute. I don't think he's got anything to do with it. He's just there. He's just this thing that people have to look at and people have to listen to, and that's it. I think there's so much more going on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, with all of his speeches he does, like you can definitely tell that they're all just written for him, like before he goes on and all of that. I can maybe ask, like, when it comes to Joe Biden, do you think Joe Biden maybe will last long, like for another year or anything like that at all?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't last the 4 years. Okay.
Right.
Or is it? How long has he been in now? Nearly a year-ish. No, sort of half. Sort of about 8 months or so. I wouldn't be surprised if even at any time soon, even towards the end of the year, next year, before his 4 years are up. Anyway, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he was replaced by someone else.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's only a case of like what's the old expression, like it was in my head, but it might probably come back to me. But I think it's only only a matter of time before anything happens regarding to Biden. But it's also pretty funny to see with like all the reactions to it. Although another thing I would also want to see if we can kind of go back to Afghanistan just a little bit with all the current stuff going on. I've even expressed this before in previous episodes with Mood of the Nation that because of course I don't want to come on here and say that I support the Taliban. I obviously do not. I agree with some stuff that the Taliban believes in terms of having their state to be more conservative and all of that, wanting to get rid of all of the degenerate stuff like Bakabazi, all of that was going on before the Taliban took place. But even then, I wouldn't implement Sharia law. Honestly, I believe that Islam has no place within the continent of Europe whatsoever. It's Europe is more like a Christian type of continent, but that's but that being said, regarding in this case, I think at this point on, I don't know if maybe you agree, Erberderber, or anyone in the chat, but I think at this point on, when it comes to the Taliban with Afghanistan, it's best just to leave them with their own devices and just leave it be. Let's just get everyone out of there and just let them do their own thing. Because what I've been seeing for the past couple of days now, especially on other platforms like Twitter, you see all of these quote unquote conservative types, your Ben Shapiro's and all of that, coming out of the woodwork, seeing all the people who've died during that Kabul airport not explosion, but I guess you could say a terrorist attack that happened. That happened this past. I think it was on Thursday that happened. The same day I had a stream with Sam and Laura. And all the people, of course, who died, which of course is horrible that happened. That many deaths occurred with that attack. But I'm just kind of seeing this whole stuff come into play with these conservative types. Well, again, air quotes conservative. That I'm kind of getting the sense that maybe they want to go back to Afghanistan to try and implement, quote unquote, democracy within Afghanistan. But I think we've seen time and time again for the past 20 or 30, maybe 40 years that trying to implement all of the lefty degenerate stuff, trying to implement that into the Middle East, I think that's a really, really bad idea. I mean, what happened with the Taliban and taking over Afghanistan, I think that just further cements the idea that we should never have went there to begin with. They are not fans of our ideology or anything like that at all. It's best we just not bother and just leaving and just getting the hell out of there. But no, I wouldn't be surprised at some point all these neocons or again Ben Shapiro types and all of that. Even Dan Crenshaw has made points about this in the past as well. Kind of again this idea of wanting to go back there as like to try and implement democracy to the Afghanistan. But again, I think it's just a case of just leave it the hell alone. Let's just not bother going back there. But that's just my point when it comes to Afghanistan. Would that be something you maybe agree with or disagree with, Erberderber?
Well, the problem is it's sort of what I mentioned before. It's so difficult to actually figure out what's really gone on there.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to know because what do we have? What info do we have? We have the mainstream media. That's pretty much all we've got. I mean, it's not like with our stuff and with kind of reporters on the ground, people going to COVID demonstrations and things like that. You're not going to have some kind of independent YouTuber in Afghanistan doing their little stream saying like, "Oh, this is what's really happening." I think it might be a little bit too risky to do that. You know what I mean? So we just can't know what's really going on. We just can't. Obviously, the Taliban have taken power and we've had it drummed into us over the last 20 odd years that they are the epitome of evil. Okay. They are just terrible people who just must be stopped at all costs. And so people are obviously going to just think of the Taliban in that way because they've just been told that again and again and again by the media. But you have to think about it. You have to think to yourself. I'm not saying what I'm about to say is true. I can't. It's impossible because as I said, we are not there. We haven't been there. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But is it possible that they might actually not really be that bad? I mean, it's like, how bad can they be? What are they trying to do? Look, they've got power now. So what are they going to do? Are they just going to kill people? Are they just going to kill people for fun? I just really don't believe that they're going to be like that. They've got their ideology. They want their country to be run in a particular way. Okay. And the thing is, the problem that we have, all us Western meddlers, people interfering with it all, we've got that problem with what's known as cultural relativism. You know what that is, Chief?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where basically you think that absolutely everybody in the world, even people coming from cultures that are completely different from ours, that they have the same kind of moral outlook and sort of the sort of moral perspective that we have. Okay, they have the same view on life. They have they just have the same kind of worldview that we have, and they just don't. Okay,
No.
and so you've got to look at these other cultures. Maybe with these other cultures, good or bad, I don't know, but maybe that's how it works there. Maybe that's just how they function. Um, the whole women's rights thing, I don't know. You know, they have kids, they have families. These families function, and you know the kids have mothers and fathers. You know what I mean? It's not perfect, but I can't imagine there being too many single mums there. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or kids being confused about their sexuality so much so that they end up committing suicide.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you've got to look at things from in a completely different way, and again get away from this idea that we're all the same. And this is this is kind of what this new song touches on, the mistake, the absolute deadly mistake of thinking that everyone in the world is the same and has
Mhm.
the same way of being and the same way of viewing things.
Yeah, it's completely delusional. This idea of, oh, we're all one race, the human race. It's like, no, of course it's that's not the case whatsoever. There are clear, distinct differences between the races, say like whites, blacks, Asians, and all of that. And to me, it just kind of comes off as incredibly naive and childish to think that we're all like part of like one race, because obviously many people around the world, different countries and all of that, have their own beliefs, have their own cultures, have their own history and all of that. So of course there's going to be a case where having people like these Afghanistan migrants coming into the UK, obviously to me, I'm sure everyone may agree, but I don't think they should come over here, not because of, I think it's just it's kind of it's a bit well. I was just gonna say regarding to that, we shouldn't have them over here because obviously they're not just completely different to us, but culturally, historically, and all of that, they're vastly different from us. And plus, why would you? Again, this is part of the whole Afghanistan conflict, for the past 20 years, in terms of like since 2001, 2003, something like that. To me, it's like, why would you want to bring in a group of people who would have complete resentment to us? I mean, after all, as I said, we've just had a 20-year-long war in Afghanistan, and then recently we had the Taliban, this like little rebel group or whatever we want to call them, just overtook Afghanistan and within a day. Even when there was like the Afghan forces who were meant to be there protecting the country from the Taliban or any other group for that matter, whether it be ISIS or Al Qaeda or anything like that at all, the Afghanistan forces just decided, no, fuck this, and just surrendered. They didn't even bother fighting back against the Taliban. So that's why the Taliban completely took over. So obviously, there's clear differences between, say, us, like here, like people from the UK and people from the Middle East and whatnot. Which again, I've always thought that this was such a ridiculous notion that, oh, we're all the same. There's no differences. We're all human beings at the end of the day. It's like, well, look, no one's denying the fact we're human beings, but at the same time, we're all different. It's just that, I mean, it's just a case of just hard reality of it all. I mean, they could try and paint it up as they will, like, oh, we're this, we're that, but it's not like that. We're all completely different in a way, like very different in this case. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally hear what you're saying, and this is what you get. This is what you get when you try to interfere with something like that. I mean, look what happened in Iraq as well. You know,
Mhm.
when the and a lot of people were saying that Iraq needed someone like Saddam. It needed someone like that, to keep them all in check. I don't know.
Mhm.
And then one more thing, just one more thing about Afghanistan. I did hear just a slight tidbit also about the Taliban wanting to create their own banking system, and so maybe that could be the problem.
Right. Yeah, not being part of the globalist banking
Yes.
systems of
Yes.
mm.
Well, yeah. We'll say no more about that.
Yeah, because that's like a a rabbit hole in and of itself.
Yes.
But
Yes.
ah, dear. When you and I were talking about in terms of just now in terms of the differences between like people, whether it's native British or like Afghanistan people or anything like that at all, there was something that kind of came to my head that kind of ties into that. Where in terms of all these people that try to make you believe that we're all one race, we're all human beings, we're all the human race and all that. There's no differences whatsoever. It's like, right, okay, if that is the case, then why do we have groups like Black Lives Matter who are very about, well, not only they are a completely anti-white organization, but they're all about their tribe. They're all about their blackness. They're all about
Yeah.
their African heritage. So it's like, well, what's your take on that? It's like, oh, well, that's totally justified because my slavery and all of that. It's like, no, just. But no, I think stuff like Black Lives Matter like completely debunks the whole idea of there's no differences. We're all human beings. We're all the same and all of that. I think a group like BLM or um, anything of the sort completely debunks all of that. I don't know. Like, what do you think, Erberderber?
Yeah, no, I pretty much, pretty much agree with you on that. The fact that it kind of, yeah, it does. It just it goes against the whole we are one, we are, we're all one big family and everything like that. When certain groups can have an identity and they can be proud of their identity and their heritage and everything, and have a month and everything like that, Black History Month, etc. And we can't. So yeah, it just totally contradicts it. Just looking at a comment by English Sailor,
Mm-hmm.
who talks about cultural relativism, saying that it's an interesting point he makes about a relativist holds the view that female genital mutilation is acceptable because it's their culture. Yeah, and this is this. I don't have the answer to that, and it's such a difficult thing because on one hand we can say, oh, leave the Taliban to do what they do and leave them to run Afghanistan in the way they see fit, and other Islamic countries that leave them to do all of that stuff, leave them to live the way they live, and everything like that. But obviously, on the other hand, it's a horrible thing, and it's something that shouldn't happen. And maybe when with something so gruesome, surely the culture shouldn't come into it. I don't have the answer to that, but what I will say about that is that, okay, so if the Taliban are doing it and they want to stop the Taliban doing something as awful as that, well, there are plenty of other countries that do that as well. Okay, like Saudi Arabia, for example. Why are they not? Why are they not disrupting Saudi Arabia? Why are they not telling Saudi Arabia how they should how they should run their country when they're doing all of that stuff as well? Why only Afghanistan? Okay, when there are plenty of other countries, Islamic countries doing these awful things that we disagree with. Okay, and obviously, yes, there is there are people who say, "Oh, yeah, it's their culture; they should do what they do." Like what's going on in Europe, like in Sweden and in the UK, where the the British legal system and the police are saying, "Well, actually, in their culture, it's actually normal, so we're going to let them do it," sort of thing. So, you know, we can't, and it is, it's something that I don't really have the have the solution to. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but going back to the Taliban, it's their it's their way of doing things. It isn't ideal, but if Afghanistan was being run by another country, by by a Western country, by the USA or whoever, telling them how they should live, telling them how they should be, then that's that's wrong. Okay, I don't have the answers. Obviously, with the Taliban being in charge, there are definitely going to be some advantages and disadvantages to them being there. But a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people in the chat just saying, well, we should just leave them to get on with it. And in the same way that in our countries we would like to be left. We would like to be left just to get on with things.
Oh yeah. I was also going to respond to a question by English Sailor. There's been a couple of comments in the chat as well that are very reasonable questions to ask regarding the topic of Afghanistan. Let me see if I can find English Sailor's question again. So it's directed towards me, but you can also answer the question as well if you want to, Erberderber. But this is from English Sailor, who writes, at Chief Moody, do you think it would ever be justified to send British troops to try and beat foreign evils, or never? There's a good question, that English Sailor. Thank you very much for asking that. Well, I'll start off with that in terms of the answer. For me, I think it just depends on the group of people and the situation with that. I think if there are a group of people who are genuinely trying to cause any form of terror when it comes to Britain or maybe our allied forces or anything like that at all, like with genuine terror or anything like that at all, or any type of atrocities that occur in regard to that, I think there would be a case of some justification to maybe send our troops and hopefully not to start any form of war or anything like that at all, but just to say, look, we're coming in here because we think because you cannot do this. We're just giving you like a warning sort of thing, but that's it. In terms of, say, another point, the stuff going on in Afghanistan or anything, not just Afghanistan, but any country for that matter, that's happening at the moment, that has nothing to do with us. I think with that point, we should have nothing to do with that whatsoever. What was more important for me is that anything going on in this country, we should focus on that. Because, of course, we've got a lot of homelessness going on just now. There's a lot of people who are not being, of course, fed for whatever the circumstances may be. And I think it's a valid argument to make that whatever's going on here in the UK, we the British believe that we should focus on our own problems and only just focus on that in this case. So,
yeah, it's funny. Has anybody thought about that concept on the flip side? Like, if Britain or wherever we lived, if the UK, if our country was in such a bad situation, okay, would we accept help from another country to come and help us? But then you'd have to think about how bad it would be. I don't know. I mean, it's a weird one. Have you ever thought about that? About another country intervening, to come and help us if something bad was happening to us. Like, we would get help from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point.
I don't know what would actually be happening. Like,
Yeah.
But if some regime took over or something, and I don't know, people just getting beheaded on the streets every day, or or just like white English people just getting hunted down and killed just for walking out of their door. Okay, would we look for help?
Yeah, it's a very valid point. A very valid question to ask.
Or maybe the globalists would just let that happen because it's only them. It's only white people.
Yeah, well, there's that too, of course, because we all know that they're completely desperate to try and erase us from existence at this point. So, just real quick from English Sailor, Chief Moody, thank you for your answer. Personally, I want our forces at home, keeping our interlopers not going to happen. That's fair enough. No worries. Let me see. I think some people responded to your question about that, Erb. Let me have a look and see from Whoop Whoop. I don't know. A Russian invasion sounds pretty good right now, to be fair.
I'll get the Russian, call the Russians to save us.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny of that, to be honest. Suka blech. But anyway, that's beside the point. Woodlander in the chat says it's pretty bad here, Herbs, which I mean,
Well, I mean, it's like people are saying, "Oh, come back," and obviously, I these last couple of years or so, I've always had the intention of coming back, but the last few months, just by the way I've been seeing, what I've been seeing, what's going on, and everything like that, and the way things are, it's just less and less appealing. It really is. It just makes me want to like move back less and less. I just feel that it really doesn't look very appealing at all. But I will ask you a question, Chief.
Mhm.
Like when you're I presume you live in Scotland,
Yeah.
wherever you are, yeah, when you're out and about, and just going about your daily business, do you feel under the weight of it all? I mean, obviously we see it all on Telegram, we see it all in the mainstream media and everything like that. But do you when you're out and about and doing what you do and everything like that, do you feel under the weight of it all? Do you notice it? Do you notice that or is it just fine, or is it just the same as it ever was? Is it just like normal life, just going about your daily business?
It's I'm actually glad you brought that up because it's something I've been noticing recently when it comes to demographic changes or even more non-whites living in the area I'm in just now. Because well, put it this way, right? Like the area I live in is predominantly white, of course, because Scotland is a majority white country. It's always been like that for the past thousands of years. Um, I never, and also another point to make when it comes to say non-white people in my that appeared in my life. I've never seen a black man until I was maybe like I don't know 15 or something like that, which of course was a long time. But again, that goes to show this idea of the like the demographic changes or anything like that at all in this case. Now, when it comes to the question you asked or just now, or I've been noticing that a lot recently because again, the area I'm living in just now, predominantly white. There may be some like maybe non-whites here and there. Of course, you've got your Pakistanis. You got some black people. You maybe here like maybe one or two of them here and there, but that was pretty much it. But I think ever since recently, when it comes to maybe COVID with the borders remaining open, which really begs the question because we were going through like a major pandemic. The entire country was meant to be in full lockdown. No one can get in or out. But supposedly, but well, not supposedly, it's been confirmed anyway. But our borders will remain open so that all these foreigners can come in and enter the country. Well, not just in the UK, but any other European country for that matter. Which really makes you think, doesn't it? So I've been seeing that a lot more. That there's a lot more like non-whites living in my town or area that I'm in just now. So I am starting to feel a lot more of the changes going on, but which is why I'm definitely becoming like an ethno-nationalist in this case, just to make a point about all the stuff that's going on. It's a very important we address the points in regard to that. So,
Would
so yeah.
would you would you say that living in Britain is unpleasant? Is it unpleasant?
Living in Britain, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, is it unpleasant? Is it uncomfortable? Do you feel unsafe? You know what I mean?
Hmm. I think
Like is it worse than it was?
Yeah, because I never felt like unsafe like maybe like years ago, but because of the stuff that I know now, as a ethno-nationalist in this case, I do feel a lot. I see. I don't want to say I don't feel unsafe, but I'm very cautious about everything, especially with all the stuff that's going on and how people are not really waking up to it, not being attuned to it. So I wouldn't say I'm a bit unsafe about it, but I'm very cautious about it, and I'm trying to be very careful about it in this case. So.
Right. Yeah, I've just seen someone in the chat. Whoop Whoop wants to know where I live. Yeah, I live in Italy. I've been here for absolutely years. It's no secret. Some people might say, "Oh, that's a bit rich coming from a nationalist," etc. But I've explained everything even in that first documentary that I did, the Anywhere in Search of a Somewhere. It explains my situation fully, and also what I will say is that I don't think I would actually have become a nationalist if I hadn't moved away, because if I'd stayed where I was, I would have probably had the same mates or very similar mates that I went to school and I went to uni with. And I've been, if I only need to go on their Facebook page and see the sort of things that they're posting, sort of pro BLM stuff, and and I've got the vax and everything like this, and I'm thinking, oh my god. So if I'd stayed at home and hung around with that lot for all those years, I could have ended up like them,
Yeah.
And so it's actually moving away and thinking for myself and seeing what's going on in general that's actually that's driven me to where I am, basically.
Peter Walker in the chat made this point about what we're talking about just now, about the changes going on in the country and whether it feels safe or not, or unsafe in that. They write, depends on where you live. Wouldn't want to be in London or Birmingham, which I mean, I can definitely agree there. All the stuff I've heard about London and all of that being a multicultural cesspool, I certainly as hell would not want to live in those cities. In fact, not even just down in southern England, but I could even say that it's happening up here, up north in Scotland. I mean, Glasgow is trying to promote itself as like the multicultural hub center, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, so much it's so diverse, it's so multicultural, enriched and all of that there's already like black gangs going around in Glasgow. But of course we cannot talk about that because that would be racist apparently. But but there you go. So I mean, it's definitely happening all across the UK, and I think it's just only going to get worse unless we do something about it, and of course talk about it in this case. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, message for English Sailor as well. Oh, vavangolo anche tu, vinoggio di merda. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you might have understood that one. There we go. Yeah, finocchio means fennel, right? But it's like fennel. Fennel, the vegetable. Fennel is like a sort of slanderous word to call a gay person. Okay.
Oh.
Like a sort of like we say puff or whatever, or So if you yeah, so English Sailor just called me a little fennel in Italian. So there we go. That's it's funny, isn't it? The way things get translated. You wouldn't have known, but then slowly you find out these things.
Right. Dear. Hold on 1 second here. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Right. So yeah, that's completely fine and dandy regarding to that. It's about 7:52 p.m. We're just about almost towards the end of the show because, as I said, I end the show around about 8 p.m. Of course, being a 2-hour stream. I'll just have a quick look and see, just real quick from Amanda Lee. I hate multiculturalism. It is not our strength. Well, it's we always keep hearing about how multiculturalism is like our greatest strength in society, right? Regardless if it's in Scotland or England or Wales or Northern Ireland, pretty much all across the UK, it's our greatest strength, right? It's so much of our greatest strength that we need hate speech laws to prevent people in this case being the native people within these British islands talking about or criticizing immigration or anything like that at all, or any non-whites for that particular matter. Just real quick from hold on. The main problem with Scotland is the white leftists more so than the BAMEs. I definitely would agree with that because I've talked about this before in previous episodes, but I would say that Scotland is far more liberal than, say, England. Now, I know that in the past, I know many people might not agree with me saying this, but historically speaking, when it comes to politics, England has been a lot more right wing or more conservative. I know that's not the case nowadays. I mean, when it comes to how progressive and all liberal England tries to be, especially in places like, as we said, London and Birmingham. But regarding to that point, when it comes to Scotland, it's like, well, we want to be the opposite of that. We want to be, like a left. We want to be more like liberal in this case. So whatever England does, we'll do the polar opposite of that. This whole ongoing rivalry between Scotland and England, which I think is something that should come to an end at this point. Um, but no, I definitely agree with the idea that white liberals in Scotland are far worse when it comes to the BAME community in Scotland, um, just because of how far gone down the rabbit hole these people have went through. I mean, obviously we might have touched upon the idea of trying to maybe get people or bring them onto our side, but when it comes to the white liberals in Scotland, I think there's no case for that. They're already far gone, and you can never have them be brought back or anything like that at all. So, but yeah, actually, if you don't mind me asking, Erberderber, because you live in Italy, what's it like in Italy in terms of like the political structure with the right and left? Is it similar to the UK, or is it slightly different, or anything like that?
It might not start. It's weird. I tend to follow British politics much more than I do in Italy. I don't really follow it too much. Unfortunately, at the moment, Italy is being run by an unelected technocrat, someone who's buddies with all the old World Economic Forum people. Surprise, surprise. Okay, and so naturally, he wants to introduce all of these awful measures that we're seeing. It just seems that all the world leaders, they all seem to be working in tandem. So it seems to be, I don't think sort of left and right is really coming into it these days. It's pretty much a technocracy these days. The right is stronger in Italy than it is in other places, but they do, the media and everyone else, they do try and keep a lid on it, and then obviously parties that are and politicians that are considered to be on the right, a lot of people are saying now that they're just sort of fake controlled opposition. Matteo Salvini has proved to be that. He's just useless basically now. There's another person coming on the scene, Giorgia Meloni, this lady who's got her party Fratelli d'Italia, which is Brothers of Italy, and people saying that in the next elections people are going to be voting for her more, and she's gaining popularity and everything like that. But again, there's this idea that what is she actually going to do? But there is obviously, if we're talking about sort of life in general, the whole kind of sort of globo homo stuff is creeping in Italy, but it seems to be in the UK and other countries the way that they're trying to get people to be. It seems to be the way that they're trying to get people to live by. Whereas in Italy, it's more of a kind of fringe thing. Okay, the sort of LGBT supporters aren't these sort of silly liberals. They're more like kind of misfits, people, sort of outcasts almost. Okay, or these very odd looking blokes who wear very odd clothes, with sort of ankle swingers and no socks, and they got weak moustaches, who are in their own sort of little clique, and they put on this really camp voice, and it's all just looks really contrived, and that all seems to be pretty fringe, to be honest. I would say that yeah, life in general is just seems pretty normal, to me. I mean, I worked from February to June. I worked in a school. I worked in a primary school as I was the native English teacher there. I did an hour a week with like 20 odd different classes. So I did sort of 20 odd hours a week there with like, ended up teaching about 400 odd kids. And from like ages of between sort of 7 to 11. And the way the school was there, I mean, there was nothing. You just didn't see the indoctrination at school. Even the way the teachers were addressing the boys and girls, they were addressing them differently. They were talking to the boys like they were boys, and they were talking to the girls like they were girls. And they were, you could just see that it was something natural there going on. Obviously, there was a little bit of the kind of, don't discriminate, let's all hold hands and everything like that. And it was an inner city school as well, so there was a lot of diversity there as well. Not so much black. I think there was probably only about 2 or 3 black kids in the entire school, of sort of 600 or 500 or 600 odd kids. But there are quite a few others. It's Chinese, North Africans, Latinos, and people like that. But everyone sort of seemed to get on, and the kids seemed pretty decent. It sort of reminded me of sort of what life was like in the 90s, where you had a bit of diversity, but nobody really mentioned it. Nobody really said, "Oh, as a this person or as a that person, you have to treat me like this or treat me like that." There wasn't any of this. It was just people were just there, and Italian customs and history and everything like that is being taught. The Italian kids don't seem to be being taught to hate themselves or anything like that, the way they are in Britain. I do fear, though, that it is just behind, and they're just gonna end up catching up with them. You know what I mean? So I do feel sort of slightly more at ease here. I think I'd going back to the UK and going back to Kent, which is near London, to where my folks live and things like that. That's where I would go back. Where the diversity really is creeping in. I think I'd have much more of a hard time with it than I'm having here, to be honest. But as I said, I don't know what I'm going to be doing next week. So you never know.
That's true. That's very true. Just to say, we're just past 8 o'clock. What I think we'll do is I will call the stream to an end. What I'm going to do now, since we're at the last part here, is I'm going to be showing a lot of stuff, particularly your content in this case. Sorry, you're about to say something?
One more thing,
Yeah?
Chief. Yeah, really, really interesting comment by Garlic Gorilla. Said, my old man is Italian and he watches the mainstream Italian TV and it's all coup fear porn and he's absolutely terrified. He's absolutely bang on. Oh my God. All of my students are still terrified of it. I mean, I teach people of all ages, but especially like people, boomers, like 50 years old, 60 years old. They are, yeah. It's sort of, we have to stay safe, and and it is wall to wall coof. That's and so I just want to tell him that he's absolutely bang on about that. Yeah. So that was it.
No worries. Excellent. Right. What I'll do first of all is I know that the PA book club will be live just now. It's going to be Mark Collett, of course, or Mark. Laura is going to be featured in that episode as well. They're also going to be having on Greg Johnson, who I have heard of. I think I might have seen a couple of his videos in the past, but they're going to be part of the PA book club tonight, and I think they're going to be reviewing a book by Greg Johnson, which I believe was called White Identity Politics, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that was the name of the book they're going to be reviewing in this case. But what I'll do first of all is, before I share that stream, I will first of all share the link for Erberderber's Odyssey channel. So of course there it is on the screen. Oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. There we go. So that's the link for. If you haven't subscribed to Erberderber's Odyssey account, please definitely do so by clicking on that link just now. So there we go. What I'll also do in the meantime is I'll post the link for Laura's D Live, since that's where it's going to be. That episode of a PA Book Club will be live just now. And also Mark Collett, I keep saying Mark Collett, but I should just say Mark, just for short in this case. I'll also post a link for Mark's Odyssey channel as well, because that's where it's going to be live as well. Just in case if you aren't managed to use D Live, then there's the backup for Mark's Odyssey channel. So 1 second, or even just the actual stream itself. Let me just copy that and then paste it here. Perfect. Right. So that's all been shared. 2 and 3. Perfect. So that's great. Honestly, before we come to an end tonight, I really want to thank you so much for appearing on the show, Erberderber. Obviously, I actually really enjoyed myself tonight. This has been a great conversation. I'll definitely have you back on at some point. Like I said to Sam and Laura, whether it be on another stream or maybe for potentially the 100th episode of Mood of the Nation, whatever the case may be, I'll definitely have you back on the show at some point. I really enjoyed this conversation. Do you have any final words before we end the stream tonight, Herb?
Well, yeah, just to say thanks for having me. Yeah, really enjoyed it as well. It was always nice to chew things over and try and put the worlds to rights, which we don't often do, but we try anyway. And so, really appreciate that. Thanks for having me on. And I would like to just shill a couple of things. I'm really hoping to get this this song up tomorrow. Really hoping my voice is going to be up to it. So hopefully it'll be up by tomorrow evening. And then on, because it's the end of the month, I'm supposed to be doing my end of month stream. And so I can see that the last day of the month is the 31st. That's Tuesday. So I'm thinking about doing a stream on Tuesday from 5 to 7, which will be before Jodie. So 5 to 7 in the afternoon, in the evening. Yeah, sort of late. Yeah, early evening, 5 to 7. This Tuesday, so on Odyssey. So it will be great to see some people come along for that. I know it's only Odyssey. I get minimal audience, but I haven't done a stream for ages, so it'd be nice just to do one of those kind of an end of the month Q&A things. So I'll advertise that one on my Telegram, and I hope to see you all there.
Excellent. Well, this would be a perfect opportunity to subscribe to Erberderber's Odyssey channel if you haven't done so already, which, of course, as I said, the link will be in the chat as well. So, but just further down below. What I will do now is, as normal when it comes to my show, I usually end the show with a like an ending like song, kind of like an outro kind of thing, just like with earlier on with the intro. And I was thinking about, because you're a musician, you produce music like on Odyssey as your content. I'm thinking about maybe playing one of your songs that you've published on your channel already. Would that be okay with you just now?
It would, yeah, if you can get Odyssey to work.
I'm sure I'll be able to get it to work. Hold on 1 second here. And if I manage to get it working, I'm just trying to think what one to play.
Well, you could, there's the shortest one. It's one of the, it's a short one, so it would get the stream finished, and it's one of the most recent as well. And it's also the image that I've used tonight is actually from it. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit as well, because it's this idea that all nationalists are thick, you know, and so basically it's a song that fights back against that, saying that, okay, you know, and basically the song is saying, you know, I'm a nationalist just because I'm thick, basically. Right. But it obviously it isn't, and so basically it's kind of fighting back at all those people that just dismiss us all as just being thick. And it's called Racist Moron, if you can.
Yeah, I've just got it here just now. That's perfect. Let me just click on that here. Oh, sorry, excuse me. And then let it load up. And then it's not playing just now. Oh, it's about to play. Hold on. Not yet. Right, paused. So that's good. What we'll do then is I've got it all loaded up and ready to go. Hopefully it will work for the stream. I'm sure it pretty much will anyway, but we'll have a look and see. Share audio and share the screen. With that, perfect. Right. Well, honestly, again, thank you very much, Erberderber, for appearing on the show. Everyone else, this also will be like a little thing to mention. This will be the last episode, and then I'll have my week and a half to 2 week long break. So there will not be an episode of Mood of the Nation the next Sunday or even this coming Thursday for that matter. I'll even post a message on Telegram, so definitely follow me on Telegram if you can. It's a Chief Moody official chat or channel. And I'll just basically post a message saying, hey, here's how long I'm going to be going for. Here's where I'll be coming back with Mood of the Nation. And, there we go.
Chief, sorry. I was just thinking, is this gonna kind of upset your channel? Because it's quite, I don't know, is it gonna be a problem playing the song on your channel? Because on Odyssey, I don't worry anymore. I just go for it. I don't think about
honestly, I don't think it should be that bad. I think anything would happen with the channel.
There are a couple of slurs in there, but it's all in context. It's all about the context. But you know what I mean,
right? I don't think. Well, I don't know if it'll be like a problem with that. I mean, if it is a problem, like maybe with playbacks, I'll maybe try and do something with it, like maybe edit
or just edit it out.
Yeah. But just for now, which is just live, I'll just play it on the air, and then I'll put on silent or anything like that. So,
okay.
Perfect. What we'll do is we'll put ourselves on mute, and then once the song finishes, of course, we'll end the stream there. Of course, with that, or even though I'll also put this on the screen here. But again, everyone, thank you all very much for watching the show. I really do appreciate your time. I'll be back when I will get back again with a message I'll post on Telegram and all of that. So, but until then, thank you all so much for watching. This is Chief Moody, and of course, my guest this evening, Erberderber. You have been watching the Mood of the Nation podcast, and I will see you all once again in the near future. Good night, take care, and stay safe. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.